So we went through that brace neutral spine, we've been through 3-point foot pressure, and we've been through creating hip stability. We're going to put that all together now and work on some squats. So it's up to you how far you want your feet apart, you know, how wide you want them. It's up to you also how far you want your feet sort of turned out. So I prefer my feet to be straight, but you know, if some people, you know, like it out to about 30 degrees, I'd say probably go somewhere between straight and 15 degrees. From there then, what we're going to be doing again, squeezing the glutes, you rotate the hips outwards, so we've got that nice stable foot position here. So you can see, like I said, big toe all the way out there on the outside of the foot, and in the heel there as well, both sides there, okay? So as we squat down then, as you start squatting already, you know, the knees are gonna travel out in that direction anyway. So you don't even have to, if you get this hip set up right, you don't even have to think about how far do I need to drive my knees out. You just rotate your hips and they will come out in their sort of natural sort of way that they should. Now, another thing that we want to make sure we don't really drive out too much, so we don't over rotate like we said before. We want them big toes on the floor. As we come into that position there, we kind of want this knee still tracking in the sort of same direction as the sort of little toe, I'd say. You know, you don't really want to be going out too far, out like this. It's actually quite hard to push your knees out that far. And we certainly don't want everything sort of collapsing inwards here. And this is why it's quite important. You see how my ankles are collapsing there, why we maintain that 3-point foot pressure throughout. So we just come into there, squeeze them glutes and down, okay? Again, another thing is to make sure that we've got that brace neutral spine. You know, this is the most important part of everything that we start. Breathe in, get that spine, you know, all nice and organised, create that 3-point foot pressure. Now, another thing is that we want to try and avoid is becoming quite hamstring or quad dominant. And this can happen by the way you initiate the squat. Now, if you used to actually, you know, we've just done the RDL and we've done the hip hinging. So if you used to just come into that hip hinge now and then bend your leg, what you find is you end up quite, you know, the weight's coming back into my heels already. And you end up sort of feeling like you could fall backwards potentially, okay? So obviously that would be a hamstring dominant squat. On the flip side of that, if you were to just sort of drop your knees forward first and start moving forward, as you can see, I'm coming quite quad dominant. It might feel like my heels need to lift up and I've lost my balance again. So what we want to do is, it's a little bit of a timing thing. We want to move your knee and your hip at the same time. So you can count yourself in. You go 1, 2, 3, and start moving, coming down. And like I said, you've got 3-point foot pressure. But you've also got balance from heel to toe as well, okay? So you don't feel like you're going to fall over backwards and up. And we want to be aiming for the hip crease to be below the knee here, okay? So up and down, okay? So another thing as well, then we've got that brace neutral spine that we started with. We need to make sure we maintain it throughout the movement. Now, something that can affect that is where your shoulder position is now, okay? So if you imagine this is what's called your base of support, like where your feet are as you come down here, this is like your base of support here. Now, if your shoulder moves too far forward, as you can see, my spine, you know, my spine is in a flex position now. If I'm, you know, trying to keep it too far back, I'm going to have to overextend here. So say if this, if this is moving and this isn't moving, something in the middle has to move, yeah? So that would be generally your lower back and it will feel pressure into there. So again, alongside that knee and hip moving together, we need to make sure that the shoulder moves with the body as well. So as you initiate that squat, the shoulder stays over that base of support and come down. This takes a little bit, take a little time maybe to play around with this, but essentially what we don't want is this, and we don't want to feel pressure, trying to stay really upright here and feeling pressure in the lower back. So it's just ribcage down, moving it all together there, okay? So we've got maintaining 3-point foot pressure, moving the hip and knee together to make sure that we keep that nice balanced foot position. We've got breathing to make sure that we're starting off with that nice organized position there, and we're making sure that we're keeping the shoulder over the base of support. So last little thing then, just a little bit of breathing on the way down. So you're breathing in through your nose on the way down, creating tension, breathe out on the way up. Now, if you don't breathe on the way down, you lose this tension here. What you're going to find is that you will lose your spine position. And one of the things that can result in is what's called a butt wink. So you've probably seen this, where the pelvis tucks under the body here. And as we come back up, it sort of rotates again there. And this is not great for like the lower back at all, because your pelvis is tilting. Obviously, you've got the joint with the spine there. And this tilts a lot there as well, okay? Now, with this, whether you're doing like a back squat, an air squat like we've just been doing, got the back squat here, it's the same technique. If you had a front squat, it'd be the same technique. If you've got a ball, say you've got a ball here, in front of here, doing wall balls, it's all that sort of same technique with the way to squat. So just practice some air squats. If you feel happy about it, try it on a barbell, try maybe holding just even like a front squat, a goblet squat, kettlebell in front of you, maybe even try some wall balls.